Over the weekend, the story of a 12-year-old student identified as Whitney Adeniran generated a lot of controversies on social media. According to the reports, Whitney lost her life during the Chrisland School's inter-house sports event that took place at Agege Stadium. However, the parents are not satisfied with the report from Chrisland School. They believe there is more to what led to the death of their daughter. Joining us on the show this morning is the father and mother of the deceased, Michael and Blessing Adediro, to share their perspectives with us. Before we start asking them questions, we reached out to Chrisland School. The producers reached out and they sent us their response. We wanted them to come as well so that we can have a balanced conversation. And their response was, "Thank you very much for extending this courtesy to us. While we appreciate the gesture and value an important opportunity for a balanced story to fill in possible gaps and dispel misconceptions or conjectures out there, we're in the same vein of firm conviction that it is morally insensitive to take the stage for a counter-narrative posturing with a grieving parent. It may not only be misconstrued as unconscionable, it is alien to our culture and long-held respectable community values. It is our firm conviction that an independent post-mortem inquiry will shed the light on curious perspectives, assuage public concerns, and strengthen the records. Whitney's incident remains a painful loss, and we call for restraint as we navigate this difficult moment. We reiterate again our deepest condolences to the parents, our members of staff, and students, and pray for strength and the fortitude to bear the loss." This was the response from Chrisland School. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We say sorry for your loss, first of all. May God Almighty give you the fortitude to bear this loss. And the conversation this morning is to really have an understanding of what happened, what transpired. I saw your video online, and I would like you to just, in a brief moment, explain to us how what happened.
Okay, I went for the inter-house sports. I was there at the venue before the program started because I promised my daughter I'll be there on time this year, since I was not able to make it on time last year. So I promised I'll be on time this year. So I was there before the program started. I met some of the admin officials, the principal and some other officials, and then some members of the PTA team. We all greeted, and I found my seat. I sat in front. I wanted to get a good and clear picture to send to her dad, who was yet to join us at that point. And then the march past started. I didn't see my child. You know, yellow house, blue house, oak, and then green house. I didn't see her in any of them. I said, okay, maybe she's in the other activities. Maybe she's part of those taking part in home economics team or arts and crafts or something else. I didn't see her up till all the students marched. I didn't see her. And then finally they called parents, as is the custom in inter-house sports, for parents to come out and march as well. And that's when I got restless. I didn't take part in the parents' march. I had to step out and call her school bus driver. Please, was my daughter among those that came to the stadium? He said yes, that Whitney was among those he brought, and that he actually stepped out for an errand, that I should not worry, I would see her. I said, okay, no problem. Being that I had been at Agege Stadium the previous year, I was quite familiar with the terrain. So I went out to where the vendors sell items, where I know vendors sell items, and I checked around. I didn't see her. I was like, I know how much this girl had prepared. I know how much she was excited to take part in this event. Why is she not here? So while I was wondering, the march past was still on, you know, and then a school bus sped by on speed, like just zoomed off. And I actually said, like, why would you drive this rough in a place where there are children? And then I crossed the field. Anybody who has been to Agege Stadium will know that parents are kept on one side, kids are kept on the opposite side. So I crossed to where the children were, and I met a boy there, you know. Students around, they were loitering, you know. They have had their march past. They were on snacks, you know, having their snacks. And I asked the boy, please, have you seen Whitney Adeniran? And he said, a girl slumped here, but they've taken her to the hospital. Wow. I said, oh, a girl slumped? Yeah, may God give her quick recovery. I said it. And I said, please, have you seen Whitney Adeniran? He said, the girl that slumped, her name is Whitney. I said, no, my child's name is Whitney Adeniran. And I brought out my phone. The boy said, I don't know her surname, ma, but I know her name is Whitney because when they were pouring her water, they kept calling Whitney, Whitney. So I brought out my phone and I showed him a picture. I said, this is the girl that slumped. I said, slumped? How? She had breakfast. She hasn't done anything strenuous. Why would she slump? And I met a man there. The man said, Madam, she was standing here. She fell. I poured her water. I was the one that poured her water. And then I rushed out of the place. Then on my way out, I met a staff, a man was coming towards me. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't frantic. So I think that kind of subconsciously put me at ease. He just said, oh, Mommy Whitney, we've been looking for you. Whitney, I said, yeah, what happened to my daughter? I learned she slumped. He said, yes, Whitney fell, but don't worry. She's been taken to the hospital. She's recovering. I said, okay, no problem. So I followed him. I said, please, which hospital was she taken to? He said, let's go and ask the principal. Immediately, I called my husband, and I told him what happened. He said, okay, rush down to the hospital. I will make a few calls, and I will join you down there myself. I'm on my way already. So we got to the principal, and I asked her, Ma, what's the name of the hospital? She said, Agege Central Hospital, and that I should join another bus. That she was taken to Agege Central Hospital.
Another school bus?
Yes, another school bus should take me to where she was. So we entered the school bus. I asked the driver, let's go. Hope you know the... He said, no, that he doesn't know the place, that I know this is not their area. I said, how then do we get there if you don't know the place? I said, Ma, please. He said he doesn't know the place. How do we locate the place? I brought out my phone immediately. I put it on Google Map. It was not coming out. I put it in severally, Agege Central Hospital. It wasn't coming out. What I was seeing was Agege Central Mosque or Agege General Hospital. Okay. And I asked her, is it General Hospital or Central Hospital? She said it is Agege Central Hospital. I said, okay, let's just go ask. She basically is an hospital. It is not something hidden. So we rushed out to the stadium gate. We asked security men that they were like, mobile, we don't know. We started asking everybody we saw. We're just driving and asking around. Nobody could tell us exactly where Agege Central Hospital was. I told the driver, you know what? Let's go to Central Mosque. It is Central. If we get to the Central Mosque, somebody there should be able to direct us where Agege Central Hospital is. So as we were driving to the Central Mosque, fortunately, by the roadside, just not so far from the stadium, really, we saw the school bus that took her.
Okay.
So I jumped down from the bus.
Was there a hospital there?
The environment was not sanitary. It was shabby, dirty, scattered. A mechanic was in front. You had a food cellar, you had a gutter, and then inside, you see the building, just a small building, and then a small poster.
A private hospital?
I later learned it is an immunization center, actually.
Oh.
So...
Not a proper hospital.
Not a proper hospital.
So because of time,
yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, what the principal you were speaking to, was she at the inter-house sports venue?
Yes, she was an
Was there a teacher or any other staff?
Yes,
apart
a
from the
staff
bus?
followed her. A staff followed her.
I mean, you?
No staff followed me. Just the driver.
Okay, so when you got to the hospital, I'm so sorry that I have to ask you to relieve it. In what state did you meet your child?
When I got to the hospital, I met the staff that followed her outside, Mrs. Watsu. I ran down. I actually was drawing like, Mrs. Watsu, where's my daughter? What happened? She said, I don't know. She just slumped. She's in there. And I rushed in. And I met my child dead. She was just lying there. She was already dead. I didn't get to say anything to her. She was lifeless. Oh, God.
You see doctors, sorry, that you have to relieve this. Did you see, hospital staff around her, or they just...
I met a nurse standing with her and the doctor of the center, of the health center. And I kept asking the woman, what happened to my daughter? What happened? She was fine this morning. What happened to her? And the woman said, from the way I'm seeing things, it's like a cardiac arrest. It's a cardiac arrest.
12-year-old?
She's 12. Okay. She's 12. How does a 12-year-old have a cardiac arrest? And I asked the nurse, Auntie Nurse, what happened? You followed them here. What happened? She said, Mommy Whitney, I don't know. By the time I was called, she was already on the floor. Okay. I tried, pressing her chest, performing CPR. I don't know. We don't know. Let's just take it as the will of God.
This is really saddening. What I could, think, immediately you mentioned that she slumped was if all parents were in attendance, somebody would have called you to join.
No, nobody called.
Okay.
Nobody called me. Nobody called me. I don't even know the exact time she fell.
So
Nobody called
So
me.
let's come to the father a bit. When you finally did you meet them at the hospital?
Yes, she called me
Okay.
while I was in the office.
Okay.
Then I rushed down there. On getting there, I met my daughter lying on a stretcher, and I asked them what happened to her. They said she slumped and died. I said, so what
Did she
led
die
to...
before she got to the hospital?
So I asked, I said, did you bring her here while she was still alive? The doctor said, well, frankly speaking, they brought her here dead on arrival.
Okay.
So then I asked the nurse, I said, so if you brought her here dead on arrival, did she die in the bus while you were coming? She said, actually, I was not there when the incident happened, but when they called me to come over, and I got to where she was lying on the floor, I checked her eyes, they already dilated, and I checked her pulse, they already stopped. He says, so I cannot pronounce her dead because I'm not a doctor. I said, so what you are saying, in essence, is my child died at the stadium. She said, yes. I said, so you rush her out of the stadium to bring her to this health center to be certified dead, and you make that an emergency and not call the mother. She said, we just say, okay, maybe since we have not pronounced her dead, maybe if we get to an hospital. I said, so did you bring her here on an ambulance?
Yes.
There was no ambulance on the ground.
Okay, let's even ask this question. Was there any medical conditions this
That's what
Whitney had before this incident? Was she...
Yeah, Whitney never have any medical condition. She has been a very healthy child. And I will tell you today, she has never, ever since she was given birth to, she has never slept overnight in an hospital. The normal thing that happens to every children is, oh, mommy, I have a headache, mommy, having temperature, and you take them to clinic, they say it's malaria, they give them normal medicine, and that even happens once in a while. Weekly basis, not on a monthly basis, maybe once in a year.
Okay.
And
So-
in fact, I don't think Whitney has used my family hospital up to 5 times since she has been born.
Okay,
hold
the
on,
reason
please.
why I
There's-
said is there's a 20th of January.
Okay.
Yeah, 20th of January,
The
yes,
school-
they actually, school called me. No, they didn't call me, they called the mom. The mom called me because I just left home not quite long. And since my office is on the same island, and they are in Okpebi, she said, are you in the office? I said, not yet, I'm on Okpebi Link Road. He said, they called me now that Whitney is not feeling too well. He said, try and branch and see her. I said, okay. So I branched in the school, and I said, my wife was called that Whitney is not feeling too well. Then they said, yeah, that they already attended to her, that they will bring her out now. And they brought her out, and I saw my daughter walk out. I said, what happened? She said, nothing really, that I just have a bit of temperature, and I'm feeling like kind of an anxiety thing. I said, okay. That was what she said.
Okay.
She said, I have like...
Follow up on that after that?
Immediately.
Went to the hospital.
So immediately, so when she said that, I have a meeting in the office, so I called my peer and said, look, cancel that meeting or somebody else take over. I'm going back home. I want to take my daughter to the hospital. And which I did immediately. In fact, we went to the hospital, we met a doctor. The doctor attended to us within a space of 30, 35 minutes. And he was even joking with her and said, is there any boy disturbing you in school? And she started laughing. She said, no. He said, so have you done anything rigorous recently? She said, we are preparing for inter-house sport.
He checked her heart.
He checked her heart and he said, everything is fine. He said, so just let her sleep very well. He said, she has not been sleeping well. She said, yes. He said, she needs to get some rest and sleep. And that was all. And he wrote some drug for us to buy. 4,000 naira. I went to the counter, paid for the drugs, and we left the hospital.
That was it?
She even said she wanted to eat pizza. She said she wanted to eat pizza. I bought the pizza. It was on a Friday, though. So
I don't know if it was a Friday.
It was a Friday.
The following day she went to school.
Yeah, I think it was a Friday or so, because I realized it was weekend. Weekend comes through, and the following Monday she was in school.
Okay, what about the issue of electrocution? We heard...
I saw you.
Okay, when I got to the hospital, the first thing I checked was, I tried to look into her eyes and, her body and all of that. Then I saw that her lips were black and her tongue was black. So, and her face also was kind of turning black. So, and I asked them, I said, so are you really sure this girl just slumped all of a sudden
Just
and that was the end of it? They said, yes, that was what they know, that nobody really was there, that they just called them and all of that. I said, no, that there is something more. And immediately, you know, after wailing and crying and all of that, I put myself together and I said, okay, you know what? I will need to make an arrangement to bury my child. But at the second thought, I said, I will not forgive myself if I bury my child without knowing
Exactly what
how my child died. So I said, I might need to do an autopsy, so I won't do the burial. In fact, I've sent for them to buy me a coffin.
We already bought the caskets.
I already bought. So, and at the point I said, no, let me do an autopsy to ascertain and have a closure on what happened to this girl. So then the doctor at the health center and the principal, you know, they all called me and said, then
Sorry
you know.
to cut you. I just
Yes.
want to find out in this conversation,
Yeah.
at what point did the school step in? Were you still just talking to the nurse?
No. The principal
officials
now
had come.
came.
Yeah,
They
they had
had come
arrived.
by that time. So the principal and the nurse and the doctor in the hospital called me and said that, you know, let's accept what has happened as the will of God. You know, there is no, like, well, it's your choice. So if you say you want to go for autopsy, but for me, I won't say you should waste time and effort and money saying you are doing autopsy. That's the doctor.
Yeah. Yes.
That you won't say you are doing autopsy and all of that. So why don't you just, you know, what has happened has happened. I said, yes, I understand what has happened, but I still need to have a closure. Because I will not forgive myself if it happened in future. Somebody called me and said, oh, you said you have a 12-year-old child and you lost the child. What happened
What
to the
did
child?
you
And I
do?
cannot explain. So I need to find an answer. So along the line, we begin to get, you know, fellow students begin to, you know, come up to talk, and they started agitating among themselves and like, why is our school not telling the parent what really happened to Whitney? We're all there now, we saw it now and all of that. So which I would not want to go too deep into that until the autopsy result is out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the autopsy has started.
Of course, I filed for the autopsy, and I wonder why I saw a propaganda online where Chrisland is saying that they filed for autopsy. I did that.
Okay.
I went to Kwanti and get the corona papers and all of that that will be submitted to LASUT today, all right, so that autopsy can be carried out. So I'm wondering where they did that, I did that. They discouraged me not to go for autopsy. They discouraged me. The school authority discouraged me. They even sent people to me, you know, kind of persuade me and say, you know, this thing, there's no need. Even while we arrived at home the following day. So, but suddenly, when they came on Saturday, I saw one of the directors started saying, we'll go for autopsy. We'll go for autopsy. Then I told them, I said, you know what? Suddenly you are saying autopsy, but you kick against this before. Then I'm also sensing a foul play now. So then immediately I went to the pathology department of LASUT and I met with the HOD and I met with the doctor that attended to me before, and I said, look, I'm dealing with a group of people who are bigger than me, but make sure your judgment are correct in the result of my child autopsy. And I left that, and I have recordings that I did while I was with them.
Okay.
So, and so far so good, that is where I am right now. So just waiting for the
Lagos State
autopsy
has
result to
ordered
come out.
That Christian schools remain shut for now. I hope that you know, sort of reassures you. Of,
Yeah, sure.
Transparency in this whole process.
Absolutely.
And I hope that the result comes out at least free and fair and unbiased.
Yeah. We are so sorry for your
Thank you
loss
so
once
much.
again. We pray that God gives you strength. God gives you wisdom and understanding to handle this period of your life. And God finds a way to compensate you for all of this.
Thank you.
We'll keep following up on the story, and we'll keep, keeping in touch with you. Whatever you have, you can share with us. And we'll keep following up on the story.
Thank you.
So much for coming on the show.
you.
Thank you. That's all we can take on the show today.